Our next dog is definitely a little bit smaller than what we typically have, but she also falls into the senior category. This is Brandi with an I. We call her that because we had multiple Brandis, and we also have a stat person named Brandi. So that's why we call her that. It helps us differentiate her a little bit. And she's about 10 years old. She's a Chihuahua mix. And in typical Chihuahua fashion, she's a little bit nervous, especially around strangers and things at first. And, this is a big thing for her because there's strangers in the room. But also she's a little bit wary of men. So now there's 2 men in the room. So she's just a little bit more uncomfortable than what you would typically see. She takes a little bit of time to warm up. But what I found is that she's a super fun dog once she gets comfortable with you. She's a little bit older, yes, at 10 years old, but she's super spunky. And she loves to play, and she loves to run around and sniff and explore. She has a little bit of big dog energy in her. I don't really like small dogs typically, but I kind of like Brandi. She's kind of a fun dog. Like if you play bow to her, then she's like, oh yes, let's play. And she wants to romp around, and she wants to kind of be in your space. She loves affection, but definitely takes her a couple of minutes, usually about 10 minutes really, to kind of warm up, unless you're a guy. And then she wants to give you the grrr and kind of tell you to go away. She has done well meeting smaller dogs because she used to play with Brandi with a Y, who was one of our poodle mixes. But the bigger dogs do seem to be a little bit intimidating for her. She's not a super huge fan of them. She loves her dog bed. She loves a good treat. She knows how to sit. She just has a ton of really great qualities, but you do need to take some time to kind of let those blossom and so you can really see those. So just a little bit of patience goes a long way with her. For sure. She rode really well in the car. We took her to the radio. She walks pretty nicely on leash. And she has this really cute, goofy smile. So she's going to be a great addition for the right family.
So she has a noticeable medical condition, which a lot of people on social media were talking about. Can you tell us a little bit about that condition?
So she has a condition which is common in cats and dogs called cherry eye. That's kind of the layman's term for it because it looks like there's 2 cherries popping out of her eyes. And what that is dogs and cats have a third eyelid, and that third eyelid has a gland. And so in Brandi, in all dogs with cherry eye, it's prolapsed, so it pops out a little bit. We've noticed because she's on some medication that sometimes those steroids the inflammation goes down, and the other day it actually went away in one of her eyes. So people are asking, is that something that can be repaired? It's not painful to the dog, but because those glands produce the tears and things like that, over time it is better to get it repaired so that their eyes don't dry out and they don't have vision problems. But it's not something that we'll be repairing here in the shelter because while it's not like a super hard procedure, it's not something that's great to recover from in this environment. They're going to have sutures in their eyes. They're going to have to wear a cone so they can't scratch their face and things like that. And it's just wearing a cone in the shelter environment is not fun for any dog. So we're not going to be doing that for her because, again, it's not painful, and the recovery would be more distressing for her here in this environment. But that's something that anybody who adopts Brandi should definitely talk to their vet about, the treatment options, things like that. Make sure that she's a good candidate for surgery and all of those things. But it's in her best interests to not have that procedure done while she's a resident here in a shelter environment. But if you are interested in taking the time to get to know the real Brandi and see her spunky side, the best way to do that is to go to visitfcac.as.me to meet her.